And we welcome you into the Hannycast for Tuesday, June the 10th. I'm Charles Hanagriff, along with former Tiger coach Dan Canevari, and we're brought to you by Marucci. Marucci, from a backyard shed to the top of the game. More than just a baseball bat company, Marucci is a legacy built on passion and precision. With 2 decades of cutting the finest wood, metal, and leather in the sport, here to help you run the game. Visit MarucciSports.com to gear up with the best. And don't forget about the Hitter's House, both here in Baton Rouge and in New Orleans. Memberships available to keep you at the top. Marucci.com. Cano LSU back in Omaha 20 times in 40 years. You were certainly a part of a lot of those teams that went under Coach Skip Bertman. So what's this like? Just before we get into the baseball nuts and bolts, what's this like for the players and coaches that have, they work on this year round, and Omaha is the goal, and of course to win in Omaha, but that time between when you qualify for Omaha and you actually get up there, and then when you do get up there, getting everybody acclimated, that's an exciting time.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's really exciting. The one advantage that LSU going 20 times, having Skip still around, have players, alumni, and everything, is that it's not a new experience because you've got so much footage, you've got so many people talking to the players, coaches that have been there. Of course, Jay's been there, before, and the other coaches. It just has become something that you look forward to and is kind of part of your schedule. So it is exciting, but it's a different kind of excitement at LSU because it's familiar. It feels like you're always meant to be there, and it's just a different experience. But I tell you what, we're big on our hospitality down here in Louisiana. You can't beat the hospitality in Omaha. Very similar in states and the way the people are, and for kids, it's a dream come true that are playing.
What was it? What was your first trip?
To
Which year?
Omaha
Yeah, what year was your
at
first trip?
LSU, it was 91.
91. Okay. I'm just curious, and then the last trip you made was with
2000.
Skip was in 2000. I'm just wondering, how much it changed over time, because man, I've been going since 96, and I'm not making a trip this time. First LSU game in Omaha I won't be at in almost 30 years, but it certainly has changed a lot. The baseball is still high level, but all of the other things around the event have certainly changed a lot since 91.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm an old school guy. I mean, I loved Rosenblatt. I love the way the game played. You had home runs there. It was kind of had a mystique to it when you pulled up. And Charlie, these come off I-80, get on exit on 13th Street, and as you pull up, you got the police on horseback. You got all the
Yeah,
concession stands lining up. You got the frost top. You got all kinds of things going. But most of all, you got the stadium sitting up on top,
yeah.
and it's like a shrine. Uh, but I tell you what, the fans were close. It grew each year, and exciting baseball, a lot of history. It's like going to Fenway Park, going to old Yankee Stadium. It's ballparks that have been around. But the new park's changed, different location. You're downtown. It doesn't have that kind of festival feel like it did at the old place coming down 13th Street.
I'm going to disagree a little bit about the festival atmosphere. I think it does have that downtown. This is my take on it. And I've been now to TD Ameritrade / Charles Schwab Field half a dozen times, and I've seen LSU win it there. I was accused that you don't like it because LSU hasn't won there. Well, LSU's won there now, so that's out. I would tell you that I liked the way that the baseball played at Rosenblatt a little bit better. I thought it was a little truer to the college game. Um, I liked the fact that it was cozy. I thought the ballpark had character. Um, and I thought the whole atmosphere of it was very, very good. What I didn't like about Rosenblatt was the stuff around the stadium. Uh, the event outgrew uh, the parking lots, the restaurants, or the bars, or the hotels, or anything. Rosenblatt was built in a neighborhood, and so it was built in the 40s or 50s, and by the time you got to the 90s and the aughts, it had kind of outgrown it. And the brick and mortar facility, the concourses, the seats, everything. It had outgrown all that. So the baseball itself I liked better at Rosenblatt. The stuff around the stadium I actually like a little bit better downtown because they've added so many amenities to it. But what I don't like about the park is that I don't think it plays as true as Rosenblatt did. I think there's too much foul territory. I think that the ball doesn't carry well there unless the wind's blowing out, which more often than not it blows in. And I think the stadium is very sterile. It's a nice stadium. It's newer, obviously. It's modern, but it lacks the character that Rosenblatt had. So I would say I like the baseball better up on the hill. I like the around the stadium stuff a lot better. Where it is downtown, there's a little bit more room to grow. So that's
See
my
that's
small dissertation on your trip to Omaha.
see,
But
but we see it in two different perspectives, Charlie. I,
yeah,
I got to
you were a
believe that
coach. Yeah.
you like the press box a lot better at the new park than the old one because you had to be like it was like a movie. You had to go up like elevators and walk over. It was tough to get to, but you looked at it as a guy that's a fan slash media person and you had to park your car and everything. I mean, I rolled up on a bus with a team
Right.
full of people, got off, went in the dugout, played ball, loved the park, liked the way the dugout sat, liked the fans on top of you, liked all those things. And to me, that's baseball. I will say this, the new park. I don't think a lot of people know this, but the new park is designed for aesthetics, but not designed for baseball because it's in the wrong direction. Meaning,
Yeah.
the sun's supposed to be in the right fielder's eyes at 4 o'clock. Uh, People don't know this, Charlie, but you know why they call a left-handed person a southpaw?
I do not know the origins of that actually.
The origin of that, I've told a lot of people this, is because the way the ballpark is aligned, when a left-handed pitcher steps on the rubber, his left hand is to the south, if it's aligned correctly.
Okay, as being a southpaw, you would know that.
Yeah.
Actually, the press box at Charles Schwab is not. I liked the press box at Rosenblatt because it there was a lot less media then when I first started going, and they had just built the new press box, and the vantage points I thought were a little bit better than what they have now, especially when I called games in both parks, and I liked calling games at Rosenblatt better.
Oh,
But
that's good.
yeah. Anyway, we spent enough time with that. Let's get to the baseball. LSU with two decisive wins over West Virginia. We talked about this a little bit last week. The elements of Alec Box were all in play. The crowds were rowdy. The weather was excruciatingly hot. Couldn't believe that they put that game at 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. But
The
all of
hot
those things,
box is back.
yeah, all of those things took their toll on West Virginia. But it was also the LSU bats that came away with a lot of timely hits. They scored more runs than they had hits. Cano, West Virginia was pretty generous. 25 free passes between the walks and the hit batters. And when they put runners on base, LSU came up with big hits, multiple grand slams. Milam had a huge weekend. So everything kind of came together for LSU in these two games.
Well, speaking with Skip Bertman yesterday, he said to me, you know, this is the most electric and intimidating the new box has ever been since the days of the old box. Of course, the old box, everybody's on top. So 5,000, 6,000 felt like 20,000. But he said, the fans were into it. Even the late night game on Sunday night, everybody was there. The place was packed. And that's the value of being the top 8 seed is to play in Alex box. There's nothing like it. It motivates the players, and kudos. What I saw is a Jay Johnson team that's playing its best when it needs to at the end, which is the goal of every LSU program.
Let's talk about Kate Anderson's start. You look at the numbers, they're not going to jump out at you as one of his better outings. But Cano, couple things. Number one, he was pitching with a big lead. I mean, LSU was up, 7-1 by the time he started really grinding. With in the fifth inning, it's 7-1. So he's given up one run at that point when the game is in the balance. They get up 7-1, and he's now trying to just get you as deep as he can to save whoever you might need for the next day. And did I mention it was hot with
A little bit, yeah.
heat index in the triple digits? So you tell me about trying to pitch when you've got a 6 or 7 run lead and you're in the middle innings and it's it's over 100 degrees out on the field level there, and you're just trying to power through.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's we had a term, in the Bertman system, we had a term for it. He called it pattern one baseball. We had three patterns: pattern one, pattern two, pattern three. Pattern one baseball means the on deck hitter can't tie the score. So you get 4 runs or more up. You're centering the ball. You're trying not to walk people. You're trying to make them hit the ball. You're not too worried about strikeouts. You're not going for the corners or the strikeouts as much. You're playing the law of average. You just don't want to put people on base. Now, when you get 2 strikes, you may go for the strikeout, but you're just trying to get the ball in there. That's on the pitching side. On the other side, on the offensive side, they're swinging free and easy. They're down 7-1. They're picking a pitch. They're just going to pick one pitch and go for it. So it's a much tougher situation to pitch in. You mentioned the hot box. There's nothing like pitching in the hot box. It's hard. Now, I threw a lot of batting practice in the hot box prior to games in the regionals, and it's unbelievable to do that. So I got to say, that is a heroic effort by Cade Anderson, and kudos to him for being an ultimate team guy, because Jay Johnson showed me some stuff by just saying to Cade, hey, you're not going to have great numbers or whatever, but right now we need you to take as many outs as you can and put them in your back pocket so that we can save this for hopefully just tomorrow, but maybe a third game, and let's team it out. And I thought Cade was tremendous in just doing what he did. He wasn't as good as he normally would be if he took him out, but in that situation, he was the best reliever we could have in there outside of Case and Evans and Zach Cowan.
Pattern one baseball. All right. Tell
Pattern
me,
one.
you give me that's when you got the lead. All right. Well, pattern
That's
two then.
on deck hitter can't tie the score.
On deck hitter can't tie the score. All right. Pattern two. Educate
Pattern
me.
two is what most of the game is pitched. Okay, that means the game's close within 2 or 3 runs, and you start out. Basically, you're starting out trying to get a strike, and then you move to the corners and you pitch a little more carefully. And then pattern 3 baseball is runner at third base, less than 2 outs. You need a strikeout or a pop up. You're not going to give this guy anything to hit. It's almost like an intentional walk. You're pitching him hard. And the reason Skip used those is, those are situations in the game. Like pattern 3, the game's on the line. But also he could use those patterns. For example, this guy today, no matter what the situation, is a pattern 3 because he's on fire. We don't want him to beat us, so pitch him pattern 3. This guy, no matter what situation, he's swinging it poorly. He can't hit a homer. Let's pitch him pattern 1 all the time. So it could be the game situation, but it could be the particular player, especially by the time Skip saw him on game 3, he may be more specific with how we're going to pitch him using those pattern terminologies.
Pat Burrell was pattern 3 for Miami.
He's pattern 5.
Yeah. He only hit like 490, I think, that season. The lineup on Saturday came as a surprise to a lot of people, and I'll be honest with you, myself included. Josh Pearson, who is a senior and had his final games at the box this weekend, loved the fact that the fans gave him a standing O and that Jay got him into the last game. But Dan, this is the Saturday game we're talking about. So this is game 1. And Pearson, while a very important part of the team, hadn't started a game in a month. And not only is he starting, he's in the leadoff spot. I got to give Jay Johnson a lot of credit. Not that I thought the move was wrong. It caught my attention. Curiel has been in the leadoff spot all but just a handful of games this year. So here in the most important game to that point, he puts the senior up at the top, and all Pearson did was go 2 for 5 with a grand slam. So Jay has made some maybe unorthodox moves. The Dalton Beck pinch hit against Tennessee, the Ashton Larson pinch hit against Alabama, maybe some things that mathematically are not orthodox, but boy, have they worked. He's got a feel for this team.
I was going to say, I spoke about it last week on the podcast. Nobody knows his team better than Jay Johnson. Nobody knows how to use his 15 guys on offense better than Jay Johnson. He's got those kids, those players in his palm of his hand, and that's a great compliment to Jay and his coaching staff, of course. But I mean, it's calculated. He's got all the numbers. Like I said, Jamie Tutko's his guy. Jamie's got tons of information. But the bottom line is, Curiel doesn't hit lefties real well. And Josh Pearson hits lefties better than righties. Plus, you got a senior to lead it off in the biggest weekend of the season to this point. Let Curiel drop in the order, take a little break down there. But the biggest thing is, Charlie, in the last 4 years, who's come up biggest in big games of guys that have played on the team on a consistent basis?
Pearson saved the 2023 national
Yeah.
championship with that
He and
catch in
Trey
left
Morgan
field.
saved it on
Yeah,
defense.
it got saved multiple times, but that was one of them. That ball
Yeah,
gets
the
by
fly
him,
ball.
and that's it. Yeah, they couldn't get there. He has made so many right moves. We're going to talk about a couple more of them, but first, I want to tell you about Bayou Apparel. You want anything at LSU? Go to everything LSU. Bayou Apparel, helping local businesses since 2009, an official LSU licensee. Quality products to showcase your brand, whether it's established or new. Bayou Apparel design experts help you create eye-catching designs. They fit your company's message. They do logos, event T-shirts, and promotional items for your business. Call 225-928-9090 or go to everythinglsu.com. So he did drop Curiel in the lineup, and he goes 3 for 3 and drives in 5 runs. As a 3-run homer goes oppo. In fact, it was a 16 innings, I think, before they finally got Curiel out. Dan, he is a precocious talent. I get that. But I don't want to downplay the mental aspect of this. When you've been the leadoff guy for 96% of the year, and all of a sudden they drop you down into the 7 hole for, I think, the first time all year, that can get in a guy's head. It didn't with Curiel. He had a great weekend, and he started off with some really good, strong at-bats on Saturday.
Again, it goes back to Jay Johnson. He has a relationship with all the players, and they trust his judgment, and he's got backing. So there was a meeting with Curiel, and it's Jay sat down with him one-on-one, explained what he's doing, why he's doing. It's best for the team, but you're still great. And now you just get a different role today against this lefty because and I know there's a lot of reasons, but I believe in Josh Pearson. I believe in this move. And I think for you, the first time in the postseason, this is a good opportunity for you as well. And let's face it, the guy's a genius. He got 9 RBIs out of that move.
How do you break that to a kid when you don't know how he's going to necessarily take it?
But he knows. What I'm saying is they've
Yeah.
played all these games. He recruited the kid for 2-3 years, meaning it's more than it's family. When you coach the kids, you spend all that time together. Plus, Jay's there all the time. Like there's not a time when he's not at the office and there's a body there. There's a body there. He can hear it from his house and he's driving over. And that's just the way he is. And that's the way you got to be. So he's with these kids and he knows everything about them, just like your children. And he's got an open dialogue with everybody and they respect him because he's a straight shooter, all business, but he cares. And he cares about your feelings and he's played. So, I mean, the guy's got it all. He's a great coach. I mean, let's just give him credit where credit's due. How many moves has he made this year that kind of seem a little different or pinch hitter here and there that haven't been right? I mean, he's just got a great feel.
He's been right way more often than the other way. And another move that he made was Stephen Milam. Now
Right.
we talked about Stephen Milam a little bit last year. He got hot in the postseason, but he had a strong year his whole freshman year. This year, the second half of the SEC season wasn't as good. That's by Milam's own admission. The average was down in SEC play, but he started to heat up at the end and had some good at bats in the SEC tournament, and then areas in the cleanup hole. Okay, all 5'5.5" of him in the cleanup hole, and I thought he got the hit that put the game away on Saturday. Curiel's 3-run homer put him ahead, but Milam's grand slam put them up 7-1, and essentially at that point, you're not going to come back on LSU in that situation. So that's another move that, well, again, how many cleanup hitters are 5'5", but that one was, and he hit the ball over the fence.
Who was the best player last year at the end of the year in the postseason for Jay Johnson?
It was him,
See,
really.
again, you got to go to history in the postseason. It's different. People don't understand. It's different in the postseason than it is in the regular season. It's different in Omaha than it is in the regional. It's different. The pressure, the atmosphere. Big time players step up at big time moments, and you got to recognize that some guys just do well in those moments. And Pearson and Milam have proven that they're those guys. I mean, go back to when I was coaching. I mean, we got Todd Walker always seemed to get up and get the hit. Brad Cressy, Blair Barbier, Trey McClure, Eddie Furness. They were great players, but in the clutch, they came through with those hits. And that's what Jay has a feel for. And he went with his gut. And that's what coaches have to do.
We're brought to you by Dependable Storage, 8 locations across Louisiana and 1 in Gulfport, Mississippi, matching any competitor's pricing with convenient online rentals and payments. Free use of a moving truck for new rental move-ins and clean, secure, and conveniently located facilities. Check out the website at dependablestorage.com for locations, pricing, and rentals. Let's move on to Anthony Irons and start on Sunday. Now, first thing is they had to wait out a 3-hour rain delay, so this game didn't get started till 8 o'clock. Ianson was coming off the first weekend of the year, Dan, where he had to pitch twice in the same weekend. He pitched on Friday, and then he pitched again on Monday to close out the regional against Little Rock. So be that, that's something else it throws off your routine, whatever. He had to deal with that. He had to deal with the rain delay, and he had to deal with not quite as hot that late at night as it was on Saturday, but the heat also. But he battled through 5 innings. He looked real sharp early. He gets the first 4 batters of the game, swing and miss. In fact, the pitches were so good that Hernandez had a hard time catching him. He had to throw down to first base every time. I thought Ianson got a little tired, maybe a little earlier in the game, and maybe it's because of those external factors. But battling through 5 when LSU, again, playing with the big lead, 6-0, and I thought he battled.
Again, you're playing pitching pattern 1 baseball. That's number 1. But number 2 is, remember the kid's from California. Thank God he's not there right now, but he's from California. It's the humidity is what sucks the life out of you. You just can't stop sweating. Your hands, the sweat's dripping on your hands. The ball feels different. It saps the strength out of you. I mean, I was at a youth league baseball tournament, for my 6 rings baseball teams, on Sunday, and I was there all day. It was the hottest day of the year. And by, 11, 12 o'clock, it doesn't matter if you're in the sun or not. It just saps the strength out of you. So I got to say the external factors made him tire quicker and made him not as sharp, coupled with the pattern 1 baseball that he had to pitch. I thought he did a tremendous job given those circumstances. And it's tough to pitch with that big a lead.
Well, the guy that came in behind him had to switch from pattern 1 to pattern 2 because I thought you've been on this guy all year. I'll give you credit. By the way, last year you won Cade Anderson all year. Said this guy's going to be a first-round pick. And I said, okay. And here he is. In a few weeks he'll be a first-round pick, maybe the number 1 pick overall. You've been on Cooper Williams all year. And I think it took almost 2 months before he gave up an earned run. They brought him along slowly. But the last month, Dan, he was in some key situations against Tennessee, Arkansas, Texas A&M. And last week against Little Rock, when they needed him to hang on to give LSU's offense a chance to get back in the game that they lost, he did a good job there. And here, the only time I thought that this game really got in a situation where West Virginia could have seized control was in the 6th inning when West Virginia had cut this thing to 6-4. And they bring Cooper Williams into the game at that point. And the momentum at that point is in the other dugout. The box got a little quiet, and he came in and gave them 2 2/3 really, really strong. Why? I can see out there why I like him. I want you to explain to the audience why you have been so high on him from the very beginning.
Well, first of all, he's got good stuff. Okay. Second of all, he's in the club. He's in the left-handers club, which gives you a great advantage as a pitcher. He's got a nice smooth motion. He's around the plate, and he's a good competitor. The moment doesn't seem too big for him. He's doesn't seem to throw many pitches that miss by a lot. Uh, I just think he's just come along very much throughout the year. But again, he's one of those guys. In my mind, we used to say our pick to click here in the postseason, you need somebody that's a hero, somebody that comes out of the pack, a Trey Hodges, back in '93, a Will Hunt, somebody that on the mound that you didn't think was that guy. And I think Cooper Williams is going to come up big. It may be in a situation where he gets two lefties out in a crucial situation, in Omaha, and he comes up big, and then he does it again, maybe in 3 games after that. I'm telling you, this guy's got a shot to be very special, and watch out next year, SEC, because I think he's right along the lines of a Cade Anderson.
This is like a major league club that at the trade deadline or right, before the September call ups, you had a key piece. Cooper Williams was not one of the main guys out of the bullpen for the first 3 months of the season. He is now. And in college baseball, it's not like you can call up somebody from LSU Eunice, okay, or make a trade with somebody. This,
Shreveport, LSU
yeah,
Shreveport's
yeah,
where
right,
you
yeah,
are.
yeah, the undefeated Eunice is pretty good too, but you all of a sudden you have this guy emerge that you can really count on. And I'm going to go to a more recent example. This guy was right-handed, but he was another tall, rangy guy. Was Zach Hess in
Yeah.
2017. And Hess had pitched more than Williams did in the first few months of the season. They had started him some in the midweek games, but he had kind of gone up and down. But that last month of the season, Zach Hess was almost unhittable. And he was a big, big part of why LSU got all the way to the finals that year. And I wonder if Cooper Williams might not be the left-handed Zach Hess this year.
Well, I certainly hope you're right, Charlie. And I think that I have a belief in him, but I'm thinking that Jay and Nate Yeski have a bigger and bigger belief. And I think he becomes the lefty out of the pen in crucial situations. They've tried it with Premu, and he's done an adequate job. But I think Cooper Williams has, as Skip would say, Doug would say, I would say, graduated to the next level.
Yeah. With 25 years of experience, Lake Urgent Care is dedicated to providing quality care close to home, treating minor illnesses and injuries for ages 3 months and up at 17 convenient locations, including Baton Rouge, Hammond, Livingston, and Ascension parishes, plus occupational health and weight loss solutions. As a seamless extension of Our Lady of the Lake, patients can access care from anywhere with the MyChart patient portal. Our urgent care centers are open 7 days a week. All you have to do is walk in. You can check in online or schedule a virtual care visit at lakeurgentcare.com. Now, Dan, I want to ask you about another pitcher. Before the season started, I thought that Chase Shores was going to be maybe LSU's most important pitcher. I thought he would be a key guy in the weekend rotation and, look like one of those guys that, could be, a very high pick in the draft, 100 miles an hour, 6'8", all that stuff. Didn't work out that way. Doug pointed this out a number of times. By the way, Doug is en route, but that's why he's not with us today. But he said, listen, you get that first time you're pitching off the Tommy John, even though it's been almost 2 years, you need to get to about 50 innings before you really start to feel right again. And we, kind of went up and down with Shores for a while. They put him in the bullpen, and he was inching towards, that mark. Well, Dan, guess where he is now that we're getting to the end of the season. Chase Shores is right about where Doug said he needed to be, and so that guy that came in the other night looked like one of those guys that we thought. It's 56 innings now, that 56 and 2/3 innings that he's pitched now. Those last 3 outs that he got on Sunday night, I know West Virginia was a little bit demoralized at that point, but Cano, he lit up the gun, man.
I think he's in the right role for where he is in his career right now. He's like those guys in the big leagues that come in before the closer to bridge the gap from the seventh to the ninth, and comes in and throws hard. It's hard to adjust to him. He's dynamite after a guy like Ianson and Cooper Williams because he's so different than the two of them. So that mix and match type of thing, you got Ianson with a lot of breaking balls, decent, good fastball, but not overpowering fastball by today's standards. Then you got Cooper Williams, a lefty curveball, ball moves away. Then you bring in a guy throwing lightning bolts and power pitcher. That's a tough adjustment for a hitter for one at bat.
It was really something to see.
Yeah.
He looked like the power pitcher that for four batters there he looked like Paul Skeens. He was just
We'll
he
take
was
4 outs. We'll
I
take 4
look
out Skeens. Give me
every
2 out Cooper Williams. Give me 2 out Mike Sorotka from
yeah.
Cooper Williams, and those outs matter. They matter a lot.
I thought West Virginia, to their credit, I thought they were pesky at the plate. I like their approach. I thought they changed up a little bit on Iacon. They started kind of sitting on those curveballs with 2 strikes. I thought they laid off some pitches. I thought they did a good job, fighting through against Anderson. The scrappy offensive club. They won all 3 of their games at the regional in their last offensive at bat. So I thought they did a good job there. I thought the defense let them down, and the pitching was compromised, Dan. Kern, who went on Saturday, had to pitch twice last weekend with 1 day in between. But because Carstonas, the number 2 pitcher, was sick, Kern had to go on Saturday. And then Carstonas, who was still kind of sick on Sunday, had to go there. The heat, the other lineup, the crowd, the situation. You talk about this a lot, man. The box can get you if you're in the other dugout. And I thought West Virginia was game. I like the coach an awful lot, but the box in this team was a little bit too much.
The boxers team and the lack of experience of being in this type of pressure situation. And I will tell you this: another thing that comes into play for a team like West Virginia. The intimidator staring them in the face when they're in the third base dugout, and the history and the legacy and the tradition of LSU. It really does wear on the kids in their psyche. And so the whole thing, it's the value of being at home, for the postseason, for all the games. It's such an advantage to play at the box because there's no other place like it. Other people try to copy it, but Arkansas says they get the greatest fans. I'm sorry. You can't beat the box. I've been to them all. You can't beat the box.
All right, we're going to talk about Arkansas here. Let me tell you about Dana Brown, the law offices of O.C. Brown for over 20 years. His team of attorneys has carried on his father O.C.'s legacy. So for all your legal needs, check them out at ocbrown.com or 343-1111. Dana's team attorneys have helped us out a number of times. So no matter what your legal needs, if you have if you've been in a car accident, maybe you've got some other legal issues, the initial consultation is always free. The law office of O.C. Brown should be your first and only call. They're truly your law firm for a lifetime. Again, 343-1111 on the web at OCBrown, OSSIEBrown.com. Dan, what we got on Saturday is what I think are the 2 best teams in the tournament. Only 2 from the SEC, but these 2, Arkansas and LSU, have been up near the top of the standings all year. They played a 3-game set at Alec Box back at the beginning of May. It'll be about a little over a month when these teams play. And the matchup I'm expecting on Saturday night is Cade Anderson against Zach Root. When these 2 faced off in the first game of that series back on May 9th, it was an incredibly competitive game. It was a game that LSU won 5-4 in 10 innings. It was a game that neither team led by more than 2 runs at any point, and that 2-run lead was only for a half an inning. The rest of them, they were all 1-run leads. Anderson, through 5 2/3 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, but struck out 10 and only walked 1. Root, through 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, struck out 6, and didn't walk any. Chase Shores pitched in that game. Zach Cowan pitched 3 shutout innings in that game, including the top of the 10th. And Arkansas used their top 2 relievers in that game, Aiden Jimenez and Gabe Gackle. And LSU won. Neither team made an error. The hits were 11-9 Arkansas, but the runs were 5-4 LSU. My point is, these two, and they, by the way, they went into the game with the same record. Okay, so these two teams are about as evenly matched as you can get. They played a whale of a ball game a month ago in Baton Rouge, and I'm expecting the same thing on Saturday night in Omaha.
I think this is the feature game of the College World Series. You got number three, the 3 seed against the 6 seed, the two top seeds. It seems like all eyes are going to be there. It's the last game of the night on Saturday, last game of the first 8 games you play. So it's going to be exciting. I think it's a great matchup. I think Omaha is a great place for that to take place. Kind of neutral, especially the first round of games. LSU people get out there, but you get through the first round and start playing the second week, and you're still out there. That's when the people show up for LSU. The one thing that scares me is, and it's going back to my Skip Bertman training. Dave Van Horn's been there 12 times as a coach, 2 times as a Nebraska Cornhusker and 10 times as a Razorback, and they lost on a pop-up that didn't get caught, the national championship. He's the new Mike Martin, and the law of average takes over, meaning he's been there so many times, so many good teams, such a great coach, such a great program that let's hope this isn't the year where it's his turn.
Yeah, and I look, if it is, the guy's a fantastic coach. No argument there. I'm wondering if the park doesn't maybe play just an eyelash in LSU's favor, and I only say that I say that as somebody who doesn't always really love how this park plays, but this is the best defensive team LSU's ever had.
Correct.
This is a big ballpark. It plays big, ton of foul territory, a lot of room in the outfield. LSU's got some guys who can flat out run out there. Arkansas does too. I just think LSU's defense is a little bit better. Um, Arkansas, and this is something that in a lot of years, Dan, I think would work maybe against LSU a little bit, but not this year, is that LSU is not as dependent on the long ball, the home run, which a lot of the teams just, obliterated the competition by just gorilla balling them to death. This team doesn't do that. They can hit the ball over the fence, but that's not that's not their forte. Arkansas actually has 30 more home runs than LSU for the year. So I'm wondering if the ballpark, and we're talking about slight degrees of edge here, because again, I think these are the two best teams in the tournament. I think they're very, very evenly matched, but maybe just an eyelash towards LSU in game one.
Well, let's face it, our two big home run hitters can hit it out of any park in the United States. So
Yeah.
I don't think it has an effect on those guys. It has an effect on a guy like Milam or maybe a guy like Curry, guys that don't normally hit homers, hit some homers, but same thing for Arkansas. But this team can bunt. They can run the bases. They're smart running the bases. They move guys over. They do some things. We could talk about the hitting and the ballpark and everything. I'm going to make a call here. The team that walks the least amount of players is going to win this game.
Well, that's a good stat to worry about. And in that game in Baton Rouge, there were only 5 walks of the two teams combined in 10 innings. So there weren't a lot of walks in that game. I will say, a week ago, if you had told me that LSU's going in this weekend and Ethan Fry's not going to have a hit in the 2 games, and Zach Cowan and Kason Evans are not going to pitch, I'd have thought, wow, okay, it's either really good or really bad. Either it means they didn't need Cowan and Evans and Fry to have big weekends, or LSU got thumped pretty good. As it turned out, it was the right side of that. But for Cowan and Evans, Dan, for the first, I would say 35 games or so, 40 games of the season, they were LSU's maybe 2 most important players. And then, down the stretch, those 2 starters took over. But you get through the Super Regional without using either one of them. Now you talk about the layoff before they come in, and I wonder if they may get a little confidence going into this park, which again plays to the pitchers.
Yeah, plays to the pitchers. Again, Cowan hasn't pitched very well the last 3-4 outings by his standards.
Right.
Okay.
That one against Arkansas was the one exception. You're right. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say this. I know that Nate Yeske and he have been working, and maybe just to step back and get a reset and work on some things he knows that he needs to fix. Maybe this time to just work without having to perform is probably a good time to reset at the end of the year. I think that's going to work to his advantage. Cason Evans did the miraculous superhuman effort, in the regional, and the time off is good for him. So it's not like they're not going to throw or they're going to lose it. And you got to. It's not like you're shooting a basketball. Sometimes the pitcher needs a rest, and they need to rejuvenate that arm, rejuvenate the body, especially late in the season with the heat. So I see that as a plus for them not playing. But the other thing it says is we got more people stepping up. They didn't have to use them. Cooper Williams, Chase Shores. They did a good job. Maverick Rizzi starting to step up, meaning we don't need them to win a game all the time. And that I think that bodes well because those guys we're talking about, like we said, you got Rizzi has pitched well as of late. Shores, Cooper Williams, they're going to come in before the big guys and save their innings so they're able to go more often and be a little bit sharper. So I like it. I like the way it's playing out right now. I tell you what, though, I'm looking forward to Saturday night. Boys, that could be a great ball game to watch.
Really is. 6 o'clock Saturday night from Charles Schwab Field. LSU will then play on Monday against either UCLA or Murray State. Time to be determined whether LSU wins. If they win it, they'll be the night game. If they lose it, they'll be the afternoon game on Monday. And we'll be back next Tuesday, regardless of how LSU does in those two games. We will be back next Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll see how the schedule plays out. For Dan Canevari, I'm Charles Hanagriff. This has been the Hannycast.